In this video, we'll take a look at generating a JWT in ServiceNow. So a bit of warning, I have done this once, but I'm going to do it on a fresh instance and make a new key. So I will probably be struggling through it a little bit. So you have to bear with me on that. It's not going to be smooth sailing, I'm pretty sure. So I have a blog post on here on how to do it, and it's basically just a collection of stuff that other people have posted that I kind of put together. It's like my own notes here. And okay, so the first step is going to be to download OpenSSL for Windows. Okay, so before we even start going down the steps, we first need to generate the JKS file, which is like a Java Keystore file, on a local machine. And then we take that file and bring it up to ServiceNow, create the key store, create the key, and create the provider all on ServiceNow. But before we can do that, we have to generate that JKS file. You need a computer in which you have admin rights, so you can download stuff, install stuff, and run things as admin. We're going to be doing this on a Windows computer. It's easier. They have some Unix commands, and I think when those Unix commands work on Mac OS, I think. So it might actually be easier on a Mac OS, but we're going to be struggling through it on Windows. Okay, so first step is to download OpenSSL for Windows. I have a link here to this. I have no idea if this is a dodgy site or not. I downloaded it, installed it, and it worked. But use at your own risk. Then the Java SDK, we want to download that. So as of this video, JDK 21 is the latest version. So you'll go grab that for Windows and install that. Okay, so I've done those two things already. Now we're going to want to open a command shell up as administrator. So I'm doing that on another screen here, and very important to run as administrator. Whoops, that was there we go. Okay, very important to run as administrator because otherwise stuff will start failing towards the end. Okay, now let's go back here, and first we want to generate, this is step 4, the X509 key pair. So let me open that up in another tab, so I have to keep going back and forth. And to the bin folder, right. And you want to copy the path to the bin folder. Okay, so I don't think I did this. I just started down here. You will want to make sure, though, that after you install, well, here, let's copy this out of here. After you install OpenSSL, right, see, so I installed it, but it's not in the path here. Oh, you know why it's not in the path? I think it's in the path for my local user, but not the path for the administrator, right? Because I'm running this as administrator. So I told you we're going to be struggling through this a bit. Let me find where that file is. Or better yet, let's see, I got to find where it installed that thing. I'm going to pause here, go find it, and I will report back. Okay, so it installs it in C program files OpenSSL-Win64. And I remember I did this before, and I say I already forgot what I did 15 minutes ago. So there, in that directory, there is a file called start.bat. Start.bat. Let's see, does that like that? OpenSSL, yes. Okay, so after running start.bat, it's good. I'm not quite sure what that does. Looks like it's compiling something. Not quite sure. But it does work on the OpenSSL. Okay, so now what I do is create a directory for storing what we're about to do here. So I just do a make dir, and we'll call this demo. Okay, we'll cd into demo. Now we'll take what's in this first article, step 4 here. OpenSSL generate gen RSA out. Put that in here. Okay, boom. Let's go look at our, well, here we can dir it. And there we go. So we got the private.key. Okay, now we'll copy this. Okay, and this is going to be the public key. This is expiration of 365 days. If you're going to use this somewhere, sometimes it's good to make that longer because when you're gone, people will be scrambling to figure out what the heck's going on. That's 10 years. Okay, so now we'll do some, just put some information into the country stuff. And none of this stuff really matters as far as I understand because we're just using this to produce the JKS file. I think we could probably skip all the rest of the stuff. Okay, so now we have our private key and our public cert. And I think it's using the private key. It's not using the public cert. I can't remember. One of the two it's using. Okay, next step then is, so we don't need the fingerprint. Let's go back to our instructions. So we got the X509 key pair. Now we need to generate the Java Keystore file. Okay, so they give you this command. So to the directory where you would generate the public certificate, right? But it actually is also using the private one. So maybe I was wrong about only using one of them. It seems to be using the private one as well. Okay, so we will put that into here. And over here, we need to put our file name. So this is going to generate the P12 file. And let's call this demo. How about that? And right now we need a name for it as well. Make that demo as well. Okay, now we need to set a password. So I think it's got to be 6 characters. Make sure it's something you remember. Make sure you write it down because you're going to need it to import later on into ServiceNow. Okay, boom, done. So now we have our demo.p12 file. Let's continue down here. Enter the export password, verifying p12 files created. Now, very important step. I missed this and it led me to some heartache. Copy the p12 file to the respective JDK bin folder of your machine and find right where that path is. Okay, so that's when we downloaded the JDK at 21, what we did with this one, but whatever JDK version you download. So you're going to want to go to, and I'm just going to it on another screen here, and I'll slide this over. Here, let me pull it up, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I pulled this up over here. And you could see we're in Program Files Java. Okay, I downloaded JDK 22. I was lying about 21. And here's the bin folder. Okay, so we're going to want to take what we have in what we generated. So for that one, I was in my user folder, and I was in a folder called demo. Right, so here's the 3 files that we just generated via the command line. Here's our demo.p12. We're going to take this, we'll copy him. We'll stick that in this JDK22 bin. Okay. Now we're going to CD over there. Okay, now we're in this directory. Now we're going to use this command that they give us with Keytool. So Keytool should be in that bin folder already. So you shouldn't have any problems with path or anything like that. And now we need, right, the P12 file name. We have to replace that over here. So we called that demo.p12. And then over here, we need to name the JKS file. So we're going to call that demo.jks. And let's run it. Okay, Keystore password. Okay, this is the destination password. I mean, you can make it the same. You can make all the passwords the same. So this is not the source password. It's going to ask us for the source in a minute. Okay, now here's the source password. So this is the password we made when we were building the P12 file. Okay, good. And if you are not admin, you will get an error here. Also, if you do not CD to the JDK bin folder, you will also get an error. Okay, so now we have our JKS file. Right, let's see, enter the destination, re-enter the password, the source. Okay, right, we did all that. And the JavaScript file is created in the JDK bin location. Right, it's in that folder. Okay, so now, actually we can, I think there's a lot of stuff in here, so we're looking for demo.jks. It's in there. Okay, so now we're going to, let's go back to our instructions. Generated right, we did that. We upload the Java Keystore certificate to the ServiceNow instance. And this step is in the wrong place. I'll have to edit that later. This should be down here because now we're moving to the instance. So let's go here. And we're going to go syscertificates.list in the instance. That'll fire this thing up. And we're going to do a new, right. Okay, we'll call this demo. This is going to be a Java Keystore file. The password is the last password we just did, where we were doing the password on the, I think they call it the export password. And everything else will just stay the same. We'll submit that. Okay, right. It tells you, hey, you don't have an attachment here. So now we go looking for that file. All right. Let me find the path here. So we're going back to the bin folder. Right, it's going to be this folder here. Copy this thing. Okay, so we're in here, right? Windows, Program Files, Java, JDK22 bin. Here's our JKS. Okay, now we get this error about file type not permitted. So what they ask you to do is, if you get that error, you have to go into System Properties and turn this thing off, the file validation. And this is probably a temporary thing. You don't want to leave that off because it's probably there for a reason. So sysproperties.list. We'll go here and we're going to change the value to false. Okay, then we go back into here. We will try and upload again. There we go. This time it doesn't complain. Okay, and now we can click Validate Stores Certificates. All right, great. Valid key store, so that means my password's good, and it likes that file there. Next step. So we have the JavaScript Keystore in there. Now we need to set up the JWT key and provider. So for that, there's a blog post, and actually, what's going on here? Oh, okay. So this actually contains a lot of what I'm doing in this video, but they do some other stuff a different way, right? Here, they're using their OpenSSL, and they're converting it. Actually, I think they're using Keytool as well. So a lot of the same things going on. So you could probably just follow this thing from step 4 and it'll do it. But the only problem is they don't actually create or maybe they do. Maybe that's what they're doing here. I'm not sure. But a lot of similar stuff. So you might be able to just follow this and get through it, or just watch their video. But heck, you're already this far into this one. So okay. So what are we doing here? We're doing step 5. Set up JWT key and provider in ServiceNow. So we're going to go JWT, and I think we did this. Yeah, we did that already. So now we want to create the actual JWT key record, right? So there's 3 things we need to do in the instance: the key store, which we just did, the key, which we're about to do, and then the provider. Right? So in each one of these steps, like is often the case in ServiceNow, to do the key, you need to have the key store. To do the provider, you need to have the key, right? So you got to do them in order. So let's go create the key. Go back here, and if we type JWT, see we do have providers and keys, although it's in a different order. So let's create the key. Call this key demo. The signing key store is what we just created, demo. You don't need an ID, and the signing key, this is the password. Save that. Okay, if all is well, it won't complain. If there's a problem with the key store, which there shouldn't be, because if you did that validate thing, you should be good. If there's a problem with the key store, you'll get an error here. Another reason you might get an error here, because the signing key is the wrong password. I had that problem as well. So make sure you use the validate in the key store to make sure everything's kosher with that, and then make sure you have the right password if you get an error. Okay, now last step here is to create the provider. So we'll call this demo as well. And signing configuration, here's the key, demo. And we can just leave the script blank. 60 seconds is a little bit short. I mean, we can make that, I don't know, 3600, I think. We'll save that. Okay, so we should be all good. Now we do have some claims here, and this is getting a little bit technical. Depending on what you're trying to do or integrate with whom you're trying to integrate, they're going to have some specs for what you need to put into these three things here. I think we're going to just define that in the script. So let's go to the next step here, which is actually just running the script. Right, so next step is generate the token using a script. And we're back to that blog post, step 6. I took what they did and I modified it a little bit. So we're going to take that. We're going to go over to here. We're going to fire up a background script. Okay, we'll get rid of that. Okay, so we're doing Glide JWT API. We're firing up one of those. RSA 256. This is the headers. The payload. So here again, here are some of those, and I think they're a little bit different than actually what is in here. We have AUD, ISS, and sub. What do they have here? IAT. So they were doing something for, what was that with in that blog? It was some kind of GitHub bot or something. So it maybe had different specs than, yeah, this is a GitHub bot. So you're going to want to, again, depending on what you want to integrate with, change this around. I just changed this to test for now. And now the important piece here is on line 12, the JWT provider sysid. We want to grab that from our record. So we get our sysid from this record. I'm going to throw that into there. And so it will generate the JWT with the header and the payload. And then we'll just spit that out as info. And bada bing, there we are. We have our script with our JavaScript web token right there. And so that can be used with, whatever you're trying to integrate. So that was a quick overview assembled from a lot of different sources, as you can see, just kind of piecing together what other people have already done and putting it in this video because I'm going on vacation, and when I get back, I will probably have forgotten all this. So I want to make sure I have a video I can go back and watch. Thank you for watching.